Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sorting Hat Podcast, the show where everything and anything can and will be sorted. I'm your host, Michael Barryte, joined as always by my co-host, Katie Reed.
Bless the day.
Bless the day.
He is risen.
Sure, he has risen.
And he's going to do a podcast.
The basic conceit of the show is we are sorting various things into the houses of Hogwarts based on the theme or knowledge base of our guest. Today, our guest is Matt Duran.
Hello. I'm assuming that's when I speak.
Yes.
Why did you say it like deeper than your actual voice? Is like you were trying to do a Giants impression, like, oh, humans.
Maybe I am a giant.
I can say as somebody in the room, he is not a giant.
No, you are a mere man.
But my voice makes it sound like I am.
So we're going to be sorting early 90s Christian children's television programs.
Oh,
Correct.
I am.
I don't know if you can call them television programs.
Oh, okay. Are they more VHS?
Yeah, I think they're more straight to VHS.
A lot of it like is stuff that you would watch in Sunday school during the time where like the adults had to talk about exactly how they were going to potentially persecute a minority group.
Oh my God.
or potentially just be like learning Jesus's love and peace.
Yeah, a little bit of both sometimes.
But yeah, like it would I met Matt doing college out in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
We went to college together. We were on an improv trip together, and now Matt's out here in LA doing comedy. Also, he's so funny.
Oh wow!
By the way, before we get started, and we'll plug it again. You're part of a very funny YouTube duo called Horse Store.
Yes, I am.
And I very much recommend that you go and check out Horse Store on YouTube.
Thank you. We're really small. I'm glad someone's watching.
Small but mighty.
But yeah, what is it like? Because moving to Orange County was a trip and a half for me.
Oh, okay.
For my little gay ass. For those of you who don't know, because California, is pretty liberal, but Orange County is actually one of the few conservative districts in California, and it can get pretty intense. What was your childhood like?
I mean, I was pretty oblivious to any type of like racial tensions and that were just around. Yeah.
And I think in general, growing up, you assume what your childhood is the normalcy for all. Even when you do see like movies and other portrayals of it, you're like, well, that's media, that's fantasy. But you just assume to a degree, and like obviously then moving or something like that will be like the shakeup for you as a child.
I don't know if that was necessarily my experience, but I also did not have a good childhood. So
right.
But
and then also like I was in like the Christian bubble like my entire life.
That
so
is
like
real.
That was like the security blanket, I think. Of like anything bad or like I don't know, any type of experience that you might have had growing up.
Because you're just seeing the same people over and over again.
Yeah,
so you only know about their lives. And if their lives are pretty comfortable, you just assume everyone's comfortable. Yeah. So yeah, let's dive into it. What's the first one we got on deck, Michael?
Well, before we even get into this, I'm going to simply say I knew that these sorts of programs existed, but I have little to no understanding of what we're getting in store for, as, in case you were unaware, I am a Jew. So
did they have any like specifically like Jewish geared children's programming on TV?
I was thinking about that, and I know that they did exist, and I'm sure in Hebrew school I did watch them. The only one that immediately is popping to mind to me, though, is like the Hebrew Sesame Street.
Hebrew Sesame Street?
I want to watch some of that.
Oh, yeah. Sesame Street is in so many different languages, and they have like different Muppets based on whatever like region.
That owns. I love that.
Yeah. There's a lot of like, I believe.
What's the name of like the Israeli Muppet?
Oh, I don't know. And I think it's several, but like it's called Shalom Sesame. That's right.
Oh, that's so great.
It's like I believe there's like a pretty cool cartoon intro that does involve like probably, if I'm remembering correctly, like a slightly racist like flyover like the Sinai desert or something like that with like a magic carpet or some shit. But yeah, now I'm like digging deep into my childhood. That said, this is not about my childhood or deep dives into that.
Well, mostly the reason I'm asking is like, what were the learning tools that they used to teach you like the Bible or like in other parts? Because like for us, like that was a big proponent was like, like using like they were very multimedia based in my church going experience. As far as
a lot of Hebrew school for us was learning how to read and write Hebrew. And then obviously like some history of just the Jewish people, like not even touching on the Torah.
Gotcha.
And then just like, you know, you got the Holocaust pretty early and fairly frequent in Hebrew school. In
my Protestant church, in my Southern Baptist sort of church, we spoke English just like Jesus did. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we never learned like Aramaic.
We didn't have to learn a language, honey, because we're speaking the word of God.
The word of God was in English.
Yeah,
we're gonna get our first email.
The Roman Catholics are gonna have a few words with you.
But they did. I had people at my church who tried to tell me Jesus was white.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty common image of Jesus Christ. Like in every single like Christian grandmother's home, you have the portrait of the white Jesus Christ. Like, you know,
it's so bizarre.
It's so crazy.
Because like I'm not even trying to like get too like identity politics into it. Well, like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come
on. So we have 4 shows that we're going to be discussing. I have them on a wonderful note card in front of me because we're so high tech.
Oh, yeah.
It's Adventures in Odyssey, Greatest Adventures, Bible stories.
Yeah.
Salty the Psalm Book.
My favorite.
And McGee and Me.
Another good one.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right.
Closing it off with a good one.
Let's kick off with Adventures in Odyssey.
Right.
Can I do a quick shout out to TBN?
What?
Can I do a quick shout out to TBN?
What is TBN?
TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where all that focus on the family stuff will be, or like evangelical, like broadcasting. And then on like Saturdays, they started rolling out like competitive Saturday morning cartoon style stuff. So that's where all of this stuff would be featured.
I think even VeggieTales came out of that, and a popular show called 1-2-3 Penguins.
VeggieTales is probably the breakout star of Christian programming. Yeah. Like it was the one that like the most of my even like secular friends could have heard of.
Wait, is VeggieTales like a Christian ideology? Really?
Yeah, it's all Bible stories where the characters are vegetables.
And then also fun songs about where someone's hairbrush is.
I had no idea that was the thing. But
you know of VeggieTales.
I know of VeggieTales, but there's no part of me that has watched or been inclined to even consider watching an episode.
Okay.
Now I know that it is.
Check it out. There's still time.
I feel like even like any listener who's like, oh, I'm going to listen to this podcast.
Christian dipped.
They'd probably find our not sorting VeggieTales to be a conspicuous absence. But to them, I say, let's go deeper. Let's not examine like the mainstream Christian children's broadcasting. Let's look into the deeper cuts.
All right. So diving in to Adventures in Odyssey, which when I did the smallest amount of research being I typed this into Wikipedia, I see that this actually started as a radio drama and comedy series back in 1987, which is when I was born.
Was that produced by Focus on the Family also?
You're asking me as if I would know, and to that I say I would
say that's a good guess.
Yeah. Okay. So break us down about this show, Matt.
Okay, so from what I can remember, it takes place in Odyssey, and there's 3 main characters, all male, of course, and all whites. And there's
Good,
one.
I'm interested.
And it takes place at this, I think it was like a hotel that was then turned into like an ice cream parlor. And it's called At Wit's End. and the guy who owns it is something Whitaker or something like that, or Whit for short. And he's like this older, wise guy, and he when he's not serving ice cream in the parlor, he is downstairs working on his latest invention of some sort.
I'll note that I read that the guy who plays Whit, the lead, is a very accomplished voice actor. He's been in a bunch of like Hanna-Barbera stuff, but he's most known for his role of Otis the town drunk on the Andy Griffith Show.
Hey.
And he played Owl in all of the Winnie the Pooh stuff that we know about. So this is like a voice that like, even if you didn't watch this show, you know it's ingrained in your childhood psyche.
Yes. You'll find that there are a lot of great voice actors and more of these coming up.
Right. And this was live action.
This was a cartoon.
This was a cartoon.
Yes.
Okay. These are things that I'm like completely oblivious to, so I apologize for the many questions that I'm going to be asking. Okay,
No worries.
So he runs an ice cream shop.
It was like a some sort of house that was converted into an ice cream parlor.
And the location is called Odyssey.
The town, this made-up town is called Odyssey, and the specific place where they are at, this parlor, is at Wit's End. Yes.
And so he's also an inventor.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Christian story? Like, is there throughout it, he's telling stories about Christianity or Christ, or are there parables? Or is it just like he's going to learn a Christian lesson by the end of whatever his...
I would say is the last one you just said.
So it's a little bit like Sesame Street then? Well, is it formatted like Sesame Street where there's like a main storyline and then there are like little vignettes that are just like interrupting that?
I'd say that's more McGee and Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't touch on that
Definitely.
then.
Odyssey, I think, is like they get into this major trouble or something like that, and someone does something that's, I guess, unchristian like. And then someone, comes to the realization like, oh, I should ask for forgiveness and everything will be okay. And that's usually like what the main like stories are around.
And that tends to be the main moral of just about any Christian
pretty much,
show.
yeah.
Right. Which is worth noting for us going forward when we're sorting, to not inherently assume that this is going to be a Gryffindor based on its simple merits.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's worth noting you are a Gryffindor.
Oh yeah, we forgot one of the tenets of our show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
dropping
we're
the ball.
Super loosey-goosey. We were just so excited to talk about Christ. I'm a Ravenclaw. Katie's a Hufflepuff.
Uh-huh.
Matt's a Gryffindor. That's not surprising to us. But yeah,
No.
just...
I find that really odd that it's not surprising
Have
to
you seen yourself? Number one, attractive people get sorted into Gryffindor. Like, okay, I'm going to post, when this goes up, I'm going to post a photo of Matt so you can understand that he's a hot man.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Imagine...
And two, you're pretty selfless.
Yes.
In the
very
right
much
way.
so. Imagine, we're just really deviating. Imagine... well, you look a lot like the main character from Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, yeah.
Mr. Robot,
right.
not Dr.
Rami
Robot.
Malek.
But I would describe like the model version of him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is way up there.
The model version
Thank
of
you.
him, a little bit more soft-spoken and just really, really easy to get along with. And
Yes.
that's Matt Duran in a nutshell.
But back to Adventures in Odyssey and not
No,
letting...
talk about me more.
We'll be talking more about
I'm a
you.
Gryffindor. Talk about me more.
Well, now I'm thinking you might be a Slytherin. So are there like other... I'm assuming there are other recurring characters on
Mhm.
Odyssey.
Yes, so there are 3 staple characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 actually. If you can see the main character's name, I forget the little boy, his name, but he has 2 first names. It's like something like Dylan Tyler or something.
Mm-hmm.
What a little wiener name.
But he's the one who, he's like, it's mainly focused on him and whatever trouble
Was
he
it
gets in.
Tom Riley? No? Jack Allen?
Wait, all of these characters have like
Oh,
yeah.
their names
They're
are just
just
2 first names.
So basic as can be.
Everyone's like got a name so nice they named him twice, sort of thing going on.
Eugene
Okay.
Meltzner?
So Eugene Meltzner is the comedic relief, and he gets into all this. He's like a Mr. Bean of the
Do they ever
Odyssey.
go, you mean,
I would not. I would bet that they do for sure.
I mean, okay, so tonally, is it kind of wackadoo, or is it more just like, is there a rigidity to it? I'm trying to like ask unfortunately leading questions to figure out where this guy falls.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more like an Arthur, or is it more like a Rocko's Modern Life, or is it more like a Simpsons?
I'd say it's more like maybe like a Tom and Jerry mix with Arthur. Sure, because Arthur's a bit more.
Arthur is a good pace. Arthur, I think, is appealing to me as much as it was because it was like Christian programming but secular. If that makes sense. It took all of the like very. Like everyone's just trying to like have a good time, and there's some morality stuff going on, and then like they just never mention God, and then that's Arthur.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything on PBS is probably a good analog to what you're gonna get here.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if it was like a little bit more wackadoo than maybe I could see it going like in a Hufflepuff direction, but this might still be a Hufflepuff based on
like, do you remember any of the plot lines? Like, do you remember like a favorite episode or something, or is it hard to?
One episode that just popped in my mind was like this episode where they're like in a soapbox car race kind of a thing, and then something happened, and the main character is like at the end of the episode is just in a full body cast in a hospital.
He's a vegetable.
Yeah, and
they have to
so
decide
is his
whether
dog.
to take him off of the feeding tube.
Oh my God.
Wait, the dog is also
So he has a dog as well. And his next door neighbor, I forget her name, just moved in, and she has a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So she moved in next door. Yeah, so immediately there's drama between the two. But in this specific episode, there's like this car race that happens with the children, and obviously something traumatic happens. He's in the hospital with the dog, all wrapped in body casts.
Wait, is the dog in a cast too?
The dog's in a cast as well.
It's a cartoon. They can do that.
Yeah.
Huh, okay,
And they're sharing
the
the same hospital bed as well.
What? That's not hygienic. Okay,
Yeah.
number one,
Mm-hmm.
this is teaching children that they can just have animals with dander up on them when they're in a hospital bed. I don't like this. Shut it down.
Shut it down.
What are you feeling, Katie?
Gosh, I'm trying to think because like almost all of these feel like they're going to be puffy.
It's yeah.
But I don't know enough context. So, but based off of this all feels very like, even for a Christian show, very like endearing. Like it takes place in an ice cream store.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking Puff?
Maybe.
I mean, it feels like it's either Puff or Gryffindor.
So like, but maybe it's Gryffindor, and here's the context for why it would be that. This show has been on the air forever.
Mm-hmm.
It started in the 80s, and the Wikipedia is telling me that they were still producing episodes as far as like 2010. Maybe it's still on the air.
That is really surprising.
They're on their third voice actor for Wit.
Huh.
The first, like, they've already had two of them like die or retire.
Mm-hmm.
This show might, if it's still in the air, this show might be running longer than The Simpsons.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It has over 800 episodes, you guys. This is enduring. This is probably a crown jewel and like focus on the family programming.
It's the Simpsons of focus on the family.
Including have a boy that loves his dog. His dog. I think I'm gonna say Gryffindor.
I'll go with you on that. I hope that we don't have to retroactively like strip it from, based on what we later do. But I feel pretty good about that.
But like we've always said, we're not gonna be trying to like sort all of these into like all of the different houses.
Right.
They just land where they land.
Right. Jumping into greatest adventures.
Yeah, this tops the
Bible
adventures
stories
in Odyssey.
Okay, but
it just says
also
greatest adventure.
this is the most boring title of a show that got greenlit to be the official title. This feels like a working title. It'll be an adventure story. There'll be great adventures. It'll be great adventures, Bible stories.
Now,
and someone went, Mwah, that just like rolls off the tongue, baby. Let's
now,
go.
This was a Hanna-Barbera
Yes.
cartoon, which is crazy to me.
They
did like
Tom and Jerry?
Jetsons, Flintstones. They're like the creme de la creme of early cartoons that is not Looney Tunes or
Right.
Disney. Like they're the other that has endured and like built Cartoon Network essentially.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about. I have to assume that it's going to be stories from the Bible, but animated.
You got it right.
Oh man.
Oh, so many stories in the Bible.
Spoiler alert.
But they only focus on the good ones, like the ones you only hear in Sunday school.
Gotcha.
They don't do the ones about like the daughters having to have sex with their own
just
father
gonna say
in
that one.
cave.
I would pay money
I'm
to
sorry.
see.
What is this?
I would pay good money to see
Okay.
a Greatest Adventure stories from the Bible version of the two daughters who get their father drunk.
This is a story you learn in Sunday school as children. I don't remember why, but it always just sticks in your brain. Like they had. All right, so you tell the story.
So from what I can remember from the story is that there's two daughters and they're just living with their father, and one of them's like, "Hey, we should totally get our dad blitzed so that we can have his seed.
So we can fuck him.
Yeah, and then
so we can get pregnant by him."
And they do it.
Wait, did I imagine the cave part as a child? I thought
No,
it was
there's definitely a cave part in there somewhere.
it takes place in a cave.
I'm
That's where they
pretty
fuck
sure.
my
Why
dad.
is this in the Bible? Like, what lesson is learned? Like, don't fuck your dad,
I know
I
the
mean,
only
that's
lesson I learned
or
was
don't double fuck your dad.
don't get your dad drunk to get his sperm.
So they essentially date raped their dad
I feel like
because he was asleep.
I feel like it's the book of the Bible that's talking about like incest is wrong or whatever, but I don't fucking remember any of that. I just remember being like, why am I hearing this? This doesn't feel like.
But they taught you this in Sunday school?
Yes, man.
Okay, so
That is baffling.
I just want to back up because the Jew in the room, who really has no solid understanding of like, so how much of the Bible is like beyond Jesus? Because this is definitely a beyond Jesus story,
this
right?
is before
This is
Jesus.
Old Testament stuff.
This is Old Testament
Wait,
stuff.
this is in the Old Testament?
Old Testament. Yeah.
Yeah.
What book in the Old Testament?
Something
Hold
early.
on, let me-
look it up.
Let me very
Leviticus?
carefully.
Numbers? Deuteronomy?
I'm gonna
I would
very
say
carefully
Genesis. I would say
try
Exodus.
to Google this story.
Whoa.
I gotta choose my terms carefully so I don't go to a fucking
I'm
weird
gonna
website.
I'm gonna say Genesis or
So
Exodus.
this is something I didn't learn about in Hebrew school, but instead
They
we
were
watched...
too busy making you bilingual.
Oh,
we got
trust
to learn,
me, I'm
we
not
get to hear,
bilingual.
Oh, you're
we
not?
got to hear fucked up
I
sex
read
stories.
Hebrew at like the rate of a 3-year-old and do not understand what I'm reading. It's pretty embarrassing.
I just want to say that, I still have your dreidel on my desk.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, good.
Michael used to work with me and Matt at Smosh, and like it was like really strange to have you leave. But we had to keep a small part of your culture with us on Matthew's desk.
Because I left a bunch of stuff when I was like, I can only fit this much.
Oh, it was Lot.
What?
It was
What?
Lot. It was Lot's daughters. What was Lot's other deal? I'm trying to look it up really fast.
Is he the guy?
Okay, so he was the dude who was fleeing. Okay.
You look back?
Okay. I'm gonna tell this Bible story because
Okay.
now it's all rushing back to me. Okay, this is Sodom and Gomorrah shit. So Lot was that dude, I think, that was running from the town, and God was like, "Don't you even dare
Don't
even
you
look back."
Turn the person
And
into a pillar of salt.
Lot's wife turned
Right.
back, turned into a pillar of salt. So they flew, like they were like fleeing,
Ooh,
and they end up in this cave. And then the daughters, because they're from Sodom and Gomorrah, they're
they
like,
get down.
let's date rape
They go
our
to
dad.
town.
And that's
Town.
a story I knew as a small child.
What a string of unfortunate biblical events.
Okay, so,
So this
my
story
schooling,
was not in this show.
right? My schooling went all the way up until like, she turned into a pillar of salt, and that's it. Yeah, I'm very surprised that they taught you the rest
What
of.
denomination were you?
I could not even tell you.
Or are you? Are you still religious?
No, I'm
okay.
not anymore. Get that straight, everyone.
Wow.
So when you walk away from the church, I feel like in general, people are like, I'm cutting that tie and like
Yeah,
kicking it back.
It's
into
very
the
hard to, though.
If you are not uncomfortable, like what was the moment? Like, was there like a certain time in your life that you're like, oh, I don't believe this?
Yeah, I would say college, because I went to private school all the way up until high school. Graduated, went to this JC, junior college in Costa Mesa, and I was like, the Christian bubble was just immediately burst. And
they were like, hey, do you want some rock and roll and some drugs?
I will not succumb to peer pressure.
How about women?
Oh God, I have
These
feelings,
women are
but
so loose, and they all come with their own syringe.
oh God,
Inject these women, Matthew.
injecting women.
Yeah,
What?
dude, but the only way that you can do it is if you tear up your Bible.
Yeah, smoke this Bible, dude.
This Bible has my name engraved on the cover.
Yeah, man. Then you have to like snap a pic of your dick and send it to the Pope.
Send it to the Pope.
Don't worry, it'll be on a Snapchat account. If you take the screen grab, like it'll tell you, and then you can tell the Pope he's the pervert.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would say
was like
college.
11 when I had an existential crisis of faith.
That is really young to have that kind
Because
of.
that's when they start going from like, if there are people who don't believe in the same things as you should pray from them. In my church, that goes from that to like when they think you can start understanding the real shit, they start going, faggots are people you have to never be around.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what's a faggot?
They would say that. They'd use that language.
It was weird, and it would come out at weird times. But like I definitely heard my youth pastor talk about it, and definitely explicitly say that gay people were perverts and that you needed to stay away from them for your own safety.
Wow.
And I also like, and it was at that time I had seen gay stuff on TV and in places and went, oh no, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all downhill from there, honey. And I don't think I went into a church again after I was like 13.
Good. Yeah. You don't need it.
I mean, I think religion is great for the people that it helps.
Totally.
And for the people who don't use it in fucked up ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. That seems completely fair. And that's like my same viewpoint on it. It's like Martin Luther and those folks who are like, hey,
had a dream.
Hey, church. That wasn't. I was going with the 95 Theses and calling out like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be selling indulgences and be like, you can't buy your way into heaven. You just got to be good people. This thing is setting up like strong doctrines of moral code. If you get that from religion, fantastic. If you start warping it, that's when it's problematic stuff.
Right.
It's really weird to like reapproach all of this media now because I have so many hangups about it and insecurities. I don't even remember this one though. So like,
Greatest adventures, stories from the Bible. Are we back on topic
back
now?
on topic.
I did the segue.
Well done.
And like, okay, so is this just straight up adaptations of stories, or does this have a recurring cast?
This has a recurring cast of 3 people. So in that regard, it's very similar to the trio that you see in the books of Harry Potter. Bringing it back to the Sorting Hat. Hey, how's that segue?
It's pretty decent.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's fine.
Great. All right.
So is this a situation where when they do the various stories from the Bible, we're seeing the 3 main characters playing biblical characters?
No,
or are they just witnessing stuff, right?
They're witnessing stuff. So what happens is every episode starts the exact same way. And there are 2 archaeologists, and I forget their names. I'm sure something basic, both white people.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Derek and Margot.
They're young archaeologists, and they're joined by their nomad friend,
whose name is Moki.
Who I believe was voiced by the same voice actor who did Yakko.
Yeah, it's Rob Paulson.
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering,
he did Pinky and
are
Yakko
these voice actors? Are these all like? Are they like all secret Christians? Not secret, but like, is like the crossover? Because like, I would maybe you can speak to this a little bit too, Michael, because you've had more run-ins. Are like voice actors tend to be wholesome folks, if not like explicitly Christian. They usually tend to be very nice people and like mostly like wholesome.
I wouldn't generalize so much, because like if you listen to Rob Paulson's podcast, Talking Tunes with Rob Paulson, he interviews voice actors, and like they'll say some pretty foul and fucked up shit in character.
Oh, I meant more like as far as like they tend to be like, I've met a lot of them who are like more family oriented than like other like who are like comedians like who are like doing drugs and stuff.
No,
When I went to a voice acting like mixer one time, it was so fun and just nice, and everybody was just like, "Hi, welcome to the community."
I can't speak on that much more than like, if that's the experience you've gotten, I haven't gotten that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think
you think this is just like this is just another gig.
I think it really is like a job is a job is a job is a job.
Sure, I would do a Bible series, no question. I would fucking love to do it. They'd never hire me, but
who knows? Maybe they would. Maybe they don't care.
I mean, is Tim Curry, was he a Christian? Because he played the serpent in the Adam and Eve episode.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, Tim Curry was definitely gigging, honey, because he started acting later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I like he did a bunch of weird animated stuff. He also played the evil pipe organ or something in that Christmas special, The Beauty and the Beast. Do you remember that? That sounded so stupid. There's a direct-to-video sequel to Beauty and the Beast that takes place at Christmas.
Right.
And
I'm familiar with that.
Tim Curry plays the villain who's like a pipe organ or something.
All the direct-to-DVD like Disney films are just so dumb.
What were they thinking?
Like sometimes they try, but like especially for the time that came out, they were not trying. They were really bad. They were just cash cows.
But back to the story at hand. So okay, so they are archaeologists. They uncover.
Right. So this is how it starts. Every episode is they're at a site. What were they? Margot and whatever his face is.
Derek.
And then Moki. And they're together, uncovering something, and then all of a sudden, just like this whirlpool of sand engulfs them, and they fall into this pit, and they see a bunch of artifacts and everything, and then they come across this wall with hieroglyphics on it, and it says something about whoever passes through these doors, like travels through time, essentially, and they go through the wall, and it's just bright lights, and then they're in like just crazy shit's happening, but like Bible time shit. Yeah, like they're in the middle of a war.
Wild fucking shit is going down.
Like they'll open up on an episode and there's just
shit.
Just men slaughtering each other, and it's like kind of like censored, but also like it's implied slaughtering.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
like
my god. Okay.
Someone's stabbing a guy off screen.
So
and
this
stuff.
in many ways is like Quantum Leap.
Yes.
As far as like you're always dropping in at the worst possible moment, and it's always like, oh boy, but it's people getting slaughtered in Bible.
Because like, okay, check this. The first episode is the Moses episode, and they drop in on the 10 plagues of Egypt.
Wow, that's heavy.
When you were like Moses episode, I'm like, Moses was alive for a pretty long time. What part of Moses' life?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's true. I always was like, why is this Moses part so much longer than every other part?
Because it's like the foundation of Judeo-Christian values.
Okay, I'm not going to get them when I'm a kid. And I'm just like, why is this person getting so much more attention than like the cool shit? Like, who was that one lady who like she was like a Jewish princess and she married a non-Jewish guy and then like she like saved the people?
Oh,
is it Esther?
Esther, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Esther-
the story of like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. Humentations are from it. Purim. The Jewish holiday of Purim celebrates that.
We learn about the story part, and I was always like, hell yeah, because it was one of the few Bible stories where the women were not like evil or or just got like fucking owned. By like this was one where like,
and you mean literally owned like in slavery sense or in a colloquial owned term?
Like a video game owned.
Like she was playing Counter-Strike Go. And
no, but like there are
blasted
very
her
few,
with a headshot.
Gotcha.
Pwned.
There are very few Bible stories where like a woman is like the protagonist of the story and like it isn't a complete bummer, if that's fair to say. And so, like, I love that. And so, but, like, I understand now more from a cultural thing. Like, yes, the Moses thing was pretty big. Yeah. But I just want more of those strong female characters from my Bible stories. And I think in 2017, I deserve it.
So, as this stands...
Do better, Bible.
I think Ruth is another one.
Ruth was good.
Ruth is another one, yeah.
As this stands, as I keep trying to bring it back...
what was that Delilah bullshit? Come on.
Oh, my goodness.
She was a hairstylist and was just trying it out on Samson.
Okay, to go back to the show, can you imagine, like, you just first of all, discover time travel is possible, but then you get dropped into maybe the most horrific, like, events in human history.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm assuming in this world that they all understand one another. Like, the dialogue barrier is not an issue.
Everyone speaks all English
and everyone's white.
They did in Bible times. I'm trying to tell you.
And is it a situation where as soon as they, like, witness whatever event it is, the portal opens back up and then they, like, jump back through?
Did they have to see all the babies get murdered in this show?
Oh my God. I don't think they did that.
What do you mean, the slaughter of the firstborn?
Yeah.
Well, that's the angel of death.
But that's one of the 10 plagues.
Yeah, that's one of the 10 plagues, but that's like an instant thing as opposed to...
You got a bunch of baby corpses everywhere.
Well, yeah. It's no, not necessarily. It says death of the firstborn. That does not imply.
Shit.
So someone could be way older and just, like, you know, in my case, I'm the firstborn. I'd be out.
I have always just thought of it like any children that are existing, like if you're a child age, the firstborn would die.
No, there was also the slaughtering of all male babies.
Yes.
And that was the Pharaoh trying to, like, do damage control to get rid of Moses.
Yes.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
See,
you're mixing your two.
It's been a couple of decades, honey.
Yeah, sorry. I get refreshed on this.
I remember that daddy fucking story like it was nothing.
I get refreshed on this every Passover.
Oh, gotcha. But, like, damn, a bunch of children died in that story, and that doesn't even, like, that's not even, like, the famine stuff or, like, frogs, like,
right,
like, okay.
It escalates. The death of the firstborn son is the last one, and that's why Pharaoh's like, all right, fine, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that pushes him over the edge.
Because he had a son, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that son died.
Yeah, he died.
I'm just saying,
he
though.
Got owned.
Do you get taught all these things as just, like, this is a historical thing, this all happened? Or is it taught more as, like, an allegory?
Well, there's actually in the Haggadah, which is read every Passover, there's a whole section on it rabbis discussing the way that the plagues are discussed. And there's this one part in it talking about how God brought 5-fold plagues upon the Egyptians or something like that. And they all are discussing from, like, a mathematical standpoint. They're like, if each finger represents 5-fold plagues, that actually, like, when you break it down, is really like 500-fold plagues or, like, some nonsense like that.
It's like numerology, but, like, with probably more basis to it.
I went to a conservative synagogue, so I wasn't like, this word is binding. And we definitely had a lot of, like, discussion of, like, oh, actually the best example, one of the rabbis that was at the synagogue when I was going there, Rabbi Schulman, discussed how if there was a native people existing on an island that had never seen technology today, they're like, but they have written language, and a helicopter with explorers descends down and, like, to collect birds or something, and they happen to see that, they would describe it in their written text as, like, a metallic, like, vessel descended from heaven and gobbled up creatures and then, like, ate its fill after, like, cloth devils, like, exuded from its mouth and, like,
cloth devils,
you know, just, like, but their understanding of what they're seeing is different. So, like, pillars of fire from the sky, there's a very... It could have been a literal pillar of fire from the sky. It could also have been just like a cataclysmic, like it,
Aliens.
I just want to have an
Could have been
explanation
aliens.
for the frog thing, because that's fucking weird.
I believe there actually was like some weird scientific situation where they're like, it would be possible for frogs to rain down. It just would require like the most insane set of circumstances to
That's amazing. Because I don't know about you, but I went to a literal Bible 6,000-year-old dinosaurs were best friends with humans church.
Wow.
What about you?
Like,
what was their
we
interpretation?
had different Christian experiences.
Okay, so it was kind of more like we all kind of have the same basis, but y'all can do have different interpretations.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
Gotcha.
Like they're the relaxed Christians. Like you'll go to Sunday like chapel and everything, but you could also grab a beer with them.
What was your family's particular angle on it?
On dinosaurs?
Are they pro
on Christianity?
Do they like dinosaurs or not? Is what I'm trying to ask.
I don't think we talked about dinosaurs a whole lot.
Wow. Okay.
Was Jurassic Park an incredibly divisive film when it came out?
It divided the family.
No, but I'm trying because I was taught by my grandparents. Every word of the Bible is literal. It happened. And if you try to reinterpret it in a different way, you're a sinner.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Different experience. Like my parents were pretty chill, and like my grandparents as well.
Yeah.
But like the imageries of everything, like all like Christian like crosses and everything, and it was everywhere. So
gotcha.
Yeah, but I don't think there were very rare moments in my life where we like sat down as a family and talked about the Bible and like what it meant to us, I guess. Or I just don't remember it really.
Oh, no, it was weird in my house. Were you born again? Was that the kind of faith that you were?
Right. So when you would accept Jesus Christ into your heart, you would become a born again Christian.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Confirmation.
It's kind of like a confirmation. Different denominations do different stuff. Some people have you have to go through a baptismal thing. Some people like Catholics say there's a whole thing you have to go through to be confirmed or whatever they call it. And then there's my fucking backwater family that sits a 4-year-old down and says, we need you to come to a decision on whether you want to live your life as a Christian and undertake the responsibilities of that, or, and ... question mark. I was born again at 4 years old.
Holy cow.
And you know how it happened? I was sat down with my grandpa at my kitchen table. And that was the process.
So was your family putting pressure on you to make the decision?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They sat you down, they're like, this is your choice. You're choosing this. This is your choice and you're choosing it. You're choosing it.
I have a very different story and how I accepted Jesus into my life.
What was your deal?
So at my elementary school, really close to my house, my family was into my parents were a part of the worship team. So we were always there.
I'm sorry, back up.
What?
The worship team?
The worship team. Yeah. So
I imagine there's a van that people spring out of.
Continue.
Yeah. So it's a band and it's called the worship team, and you sing praises and hymns
I
and all
thought
that
this
stuff.
was a team that went around doing worship wherever it needed to happen.
Or pop up Shakespeare kind of a thing.
I was thinking of the A team.
Oh yes.
Somebody had a bunch of had the goal, but it was all crosses.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I pity the sinner.
That sounds amazing.
They were a band. Okay.
So they were a band.
That's fine.
So it was a youth group nights, Wednesday nights, and when it ends, we all go outside and just kind of run around on the field. And I was wrestling with a couple of friends, and we were getting really into it.
Oh my God.
Dudes, mind you, all dudes. And I'm sure they would frown upon that, but they let us do it anyways. I body slammed a kid. It was one of my friends, and we were just getting into it. I body slammed him. I guess I got him really good, and I didn't mean to do it that hard. And he was kind of winded, and he was just kind of I thought I was going to kill him. I thought he was going to die later on tonight. He was going to have some sort of heart problem and just die.
Oh,
So,
no.
like, when I went home that night, I was filled with guilt. And in my bathroom, I was filled with fear, accepted the Lord into my heart so that just in case he died, I wouldn't go to hell.
I thought that story was going also was that you somehow like body slammed the spirit of Jesus Christ into this kid. And like
No, that kid was
like
winded.
that you were like, all right, I only get one of these, but like I think I've hit my point where this is the worst I'm ever gonna do. So Jesus, like, come on in, take me, I'm safe, I'm good.
Yeah. I cleared my name.
But
did y'all do communion also?
Yeah, you for Sunday school we went through communion training.
We'll eventually sort this, guys. We
Yeah,
swear.
eventually.
Listen, these are gonna be easy to sort. It's fine. This is a Ravenclaw show.
We could sort our, I guess, like Christian experiences.
That Christian experience you had was so Gryffindor, it hurts. Like you had like the like that. What's that low point in story writing?
I'm going with Slytherin.
On his part.
I'm going with that's like
I
that's
thought
like
that kid was gonna die.
Yeah, but that was like a pretty crafty way to be like, all right, let's make a deal.
I played
let's
my
make
cards
a deal here.
right in the terms of accepting
Honestly,
Jesus.
though, that's like guilt and shame.
Guilt and shame, yes,
are like the backbone of any of like most people's religious experiences. Like it's like. Yeah, but I would go Gryffindor because you did something wrong, but then you didn't go, it was justified. You went, oh shit, please forgive me. And that's the Gryffindor in you.
That's fair. That's fair. But can we jump back to Greatest Adventures?
I told you it's a
not?
Ravenclaw.
Why do you say it's a Ravenclaw, Katie?
Okay, so these three people are archaeologists.
Sure.
Yes.
And they are being transported back in time where they go and observe and witness the Bible stories happening as they actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's the show trying to take a scientific eyewitness with these characters, the things, take it and observe it, and then draw your own conclusions, like the scientific method.
Are they ever interacting directly with the characters?
Yes. So in some episodes, they actually encounter biblical characters, and but a lot of the times, like they have their own side story going on. Like in the Jericho episode, the Walls of Jericho, come tumbling down.
Yes,
you know, good.
Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of Star?
The wrestler Jericho?
No, I haven't heard of the wrestler Jericho.
More obscure. So what happens in the episode with Jericho?
So their side story is that Moki gets taken prisoner by, I forget the king's name, but he's behind the walls of Jericho now. And the two archaeologists are trying to communicate with him in some way and try to get him back. But as like the army fighting against this king, like they're just kind of around, but they don't really interact much.
So in some ways, it's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka
totally
DVD. Are you aware of this, Katie?
What the hell are you talking about?
Okay, so
this is
about a few months ago, they released a trailer for Tom and Jerry in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and it is essentially the exact like Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like with songs and everything, like following that plot line, but Tom and Jerry are just like there running around in the background. Like,
no, thank you. What the hell? That's
like,
the weirdest crossover I've ever heard of.
Yeah. And like there's a weird Oompa Loompa version of Jerry that exists, I believe, in there. And
I do not like crossovers. I'm going to put that out there.
But like for the most part, it's just them.
Is it all cartoon?
Yeah, it's all cartoon.
Okay.
It's a completely animated piece, but it is following, and I swear, like I watched the trailer like once, and I was like, I feel like they just lifted the audio from the movie, which it's crazy. That's the
only crossover that has ever been good is the Simpsons Critic crossover episode, the film festival one. Everything else could be undone, and I would be so happy about it. Especially that. That sounds heinous.
Okay, so they're like they're there. They're not really interacting with it. So it is very much like a straightforward. Like we have to give you the like the Bible as the Bible is.
We're gonna let you see it how it happened, honey.
Okay,
Right.
I'll agree with you on Ravenclaw.
But you never see them go back through the wall.
Oh, okay. So they're just like, I guess we learned something, and then the like the credits run, and it's like, so are we gonna die out here?
Yeah,
like that's always like they're not making it home.
No, definitely. I think they're just constantly trapped in the Bible times. But the opening of every episode is just like, remember, this is what happened to them.
Right.
They're in the Bible times.
Yeah.
Because there is an episode where they go to this man's apple orchard. I think this is the Adam and Eve episode. I think that's how it opens up. I could be wrong, but they're at an apple orchard and Moki scams this guy into giving them apples because they're so hungry. He tells him that your apples are sour. And the guy's like, no, I have the best apples in town. And they're like, oh, no, I don't believe you. It's like, here,
so he
try
keeps
it. Try my apples. They're good, right? And they're like, no, I don't know. What about these? What do you think, guys? And he gives them to the archaeologists and they eat. So they're starving. That is indicated in the series that they're not having food at all. Like they're having to steal food from people, which is not a very.
Do they ever get home?
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
That's so sad.
And on that sad note, moving on to Salty the Songbook.
Okay, so for this one, you need to look up a video.
Okay.
Oh my God.
To get the full experience.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up. It is also worth noting that Salty is spelled P.S. as in Psalms is also spelled.
It's not salty like me having to listen to two men talk about sports.
So, Salty the Songbook.
I have a song request.
You want
the
hear
theme song played?
No, it's a specific song in this series.
Okay.
We're
Salty
gonna
the
play
Songbook.
the the legally allotted amount of time.
I believe it's called I'm Climbing a Mountain.
One Step at a Time?
Yeah, One Step at a Time. That's it.
When something
Okay. Before we even start this, I was not aware that Salty the Songbook was not a cartoon.
It's not a cartoon.
And is a live action
Oh yeah.
man dressed.
Like look
in,
him
like-
up. You have to see this motherfucker. He's
Yeah.
a giant fucking Bible.
It's a great
I
visual.
am at an utter loss. Like this person is, oh my God. Okay.
Do you want me to explain?
You got the Holy Spirit in you now,
Yeah,
Michael Barryte.
This is Christ. Soak it in.
So he's like all blue
Yes.
with like orange edging or like gold edging.
I would say gold, yeah.
He's got white gloves, like a white hat.
It's a camp leader hat.
It's a
He also
camp
has a
leader hat.
He's a
backpack
camp
behind that.
leader.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
How would I not have gotten that?
Listen, this
and
visceral
his
experience.
face, no, you stop. And his face is also blue, like entirely blue.
OG Blue Man.
He is, in no uncertain terms, a horror to behold.
Yeah, no,
Very
for
much so.
sure. Like, and this is like very common in like Christian children's like it's people like just making things from their mind and not having one tell them like this is not normal. So you have stuff like this. There's a lot of fucked up puppets. Like it's like nothing is just said. Like oftentimes in live action stuff, it's always fucking bonkers and not comfortable to look at.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some of the related videos
I was just
on
gonna
the side
say-
that look equally terrifying. But with that said,
The one with the mouses are.
let's now listen to a small snippet of One Step at a Time.
My favorite.
Climbing my mountain day by day, climbing my mountain all the way, climbing my mountain, I'm gonna make it.
Kind of has a Billy Joel vibe to it.
It does for sure. It sounds like Can You Hear the Love Tonight?
Oh yeah.
Step at a time.
I bet it has similar chord
Step at
progression.
a time.
So
To talk a little bit about what else happens, the kids join in eventually, and they all start singing.
Oh, that's always the thing.
Yeah.
That sounds so much like Elton John. Everybody, like, from that snippet, like, go listen to the rest of it. It is like for a Christian show, it's a very serviceable little tune.
Mm-hmm. It's a great tune. I still remember it.
Matt Duran was lip syncing along with it. Like, he was living his life. He was feeling his fantasy from Salty the Songbook, one step at a time.
If anything, like, music was huge in our Christian scene.
It helps little kids hold on to everything.
Totally.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hand motions and everything. And this series was like kind of designed for like show choir as well. So like I remember in elementary school doing like this, like songs of like on stage with my entire class for all of our parents.
What was your favorite like song to sing in church?
Oh, like a hymn?
Any of them?
I would say ones that have kept coming back are Let the Walls Fall Down.
How's that one go?
It's so great. It's very basic. It's a little something like this. Let the walls fall down. Let the walls fall down. My love, let the walls fall down. One. And yeah, that's the chorus, the main chorus.
I understand.
Yeah, good.
My favorite one was always, "Our God
He's
is an awesome God. He reigns in heaven above
with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God." Ooh,
Yeah.
a little harmonizing there.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, dude.
That was great. I'm glad I got that little concert, and now I'm gonna need to, throw matzah all over my bedroom.
Like do a sage cleaning, but like get these hymns out of your room.
Yeah. Well, my parents were a part of the worship team throwing it back.
Yeah.
So like I knew every hymn.
I'm sure that was also like a cassette tape that you had of like all of Salty's songs.
Yep,
just like
absolutely.
Get the A side, get the B side, rock out to both sides.
I wrote a hymn when I was a kid. My grandma lost her shit. It was like it was only a few times like my grandpa was proud of me, like as far as like Christian stuff went.
Nice.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this one is a Hufflepuff.
Oh, for sure. If like the scariest parts of Hufflepuffery.
This is the person who gets far too excited about a costume party. Like, but not in a I do cosplay, so like this is my jam thing, but like I'm just excited the opportunity to dress up, but I don't have all the necessary pieces. So like, this pie tin can be a mask. Like, and I cannot get over the visuals of this, and nobody like, you were teasing like Greatest Adventures Bible stories like being greenlit on one go. Like this is the most insane visual I think I've seen of like children's programming that is nightmare inducing.
I gotta send you more stuff.
As an adult, if I had a kid, there is no way. I mean, I guess if I'm like deep in the religious hole, like I
there's no getting out.
I guess I'd be like, yeah, that's no. I would still be terrified of this thing. I would be so worried.
I would not even know how to talk to my kids about this, or like just legitimately just be like, hey, watch this. You'll learn about Jesus.
I don't know if I could, but like that's not the worst thing. I know that's not the most like what the fuck thing. I'll send you more stuff later.
Well, like I think the song itself was good, and I'm sure that like you were saying, like the songs are probably great. It's just the production value of this piece is really unsettling. And like the kids are also wearing like, I mean, I guess this was the 90s, so these bright and flashy clothes isn't outlandish, but they
Michael, you should see the dog.
I saw
Did you see
brief
the dog?
image of the dog. Yes, it is a person.
It's a person.
As a dog.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Which
he has a song in which like he scratches and stuff, but on beat, and it's almost like a 90s like hip hop
Of course
rap
it
kind of a thing
is.
vibe.
Oh, Lord.
And it's it's so lit.
Those words just came
Lit for
seamlessly out of your
I'm
mouth.
lit for Christ.
Lit for Christ.
All right.
So we're gonna go on to the last one.
McGee and Me.
McGee
which I know nothing about, but Katie, you know a ton about, and Matt, you know a fair amount
Yeah,
about.
go ahead and give us the basic rundown of McGee and Me.
McGee and Me is about this boy.
Well, first and foremost,
Yes.
is this live action or is this a cartoon? 'Cause
Both.
It is both.
It's both.
Okay, so this is like Sesame Street. This is the one that you were talking about.
Yes.
Right.
In that it's
yes.
got like live. Is it live action? The main storyline with cartoon interstitials.
It's like
or?
Lizzie McGuire if Lizzie
Yes.
if the animated part of Lizzie McGuire was also integrated into the story itself.
Okay,
Right.
So
and
yeah.
then also he has little vignettes as well.
Yeah.
I see.
That play on major themes of the episode.
I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but the basic story, Matthew.
Right. So it's this little boy. I forget his name, but they just moved, and that's the first episode. But basically, he has this character named McGee that he draws, and he's like a sketch artist.
Mhm.
And
so McGee is the cartoon.
McGee is the cartoon character, yes,
see.
and he's shorts, overall wearing, like blonde haired Irish little guy, and he comes to life and like interacts with the boy
Nicholas.
Nicholas. Yes, thank you. And so yeah, they get into some stuff together, and he's kind of like the Jiminy Cricket sometimes, but
Mhm.
also he provokes him to do stuff that gets him in trouble.
So he's
then-
like neutral. In
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
He
he's
plays
like
both sides.
neutral chaotic.
yeah, for real. Like this story. Okay, this is a Slytherin show. This show is fucking terrifying
Yeah,
because
it scared me as a child.
there were
so much.
episodes that were really fucked up and dark.
Mm-hmm.
There was an episode that I remember only vaguely because again, I haven't watched any of this stuff since I was a small little boy. There was an episode that was about racism
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
where a bunch of white kids, I think they were all white, broke into a Native American old elderly person's
Yes.
house and trashed his house.
So that's the first episode.
That's the first episode?
That's the first episode.
Wait. Okay. So what it?
And
They learned the
well-
lesson to not be racist, though,
I
right?
don't. Those kids didn't learn a lesson. This is what happens. Okay, so this is what happens. So like, the punks who trashed the Native Americans' house, they run into our protagonist Nicholas in an alley, and they threaten to beat him up.
After they've just trashed the native. Okay.
No, this is before. This
Okay.
is before. This is an encounter before, and Nicholas is new to the town, so he doesn't know like who the player is here. So he runs into them in an alley, and they threaten to beat him up. And then this guy, his friend named Lewis, is the only black kid in school apparently. He's like, "Hey, you better not mess
yeah.
with Nicholas. He's hot shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
he beats or he kind of did like a reverse psychology kind of a thing. Like this bully beats up like the biggest kids in town, like wasting time on Nicholas. What are you doing? Like, and then the bully turns away. He's like, yeah, whatever. I got better things to do with my time.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. And then like they're walking by the Native American's house and it's like trashed and everything. They don't know this, but the Native American guy, I forget his name. But he has the widest first name ever.
George Ravenhill.
George Ravenhill.
This is like white people trying to come up with a Native American name and floundering.
They do call him Indian in the episode.
Yeah.
But he has, we found out later that he has arthritis, and that's why his house is trashed. And he also,
Wait, what?
he has severe arthritis, so his house is just, he can't upkeep his
You
own
can't
house.
keep. It's like
Oh,
it's just
I thought
messy.
you were saying. I thought you were saying his house is destroyed because he had arthritis, and it's not actually a race-based thing. Like
No. So like yeah, but
Oh
it
my
ends
gosh.
up like these bully kids peer pressure everyone into like fucking up the house.
Well, the bullies fuck up the house.
Oh, Nicholas doesn't do it?
Well, this is what Nick does. So like Lewis and Nick walk by the house after the encounter with the bullies. And Lewis is like telling him about this house and how there's a big scary Indian guy with the crazy animals and stuff like that in it. And anybody who goes in that house is definitely, you know, not to be fucked with.
Oh.
So Nicholas is provoked by McGee to go into the house so that everyone thinks he's cool. So he goes in to like knock on the window, or he goes to like peer through the window, and he falls into the attic.
Mm-hmm.
And
or
then
he falls into the basement.
The basement. Sorry.
Yeah.
If he fell into the attic, that would be like incredible.
How did this happen?
Jesus Christ, that's how it happened.
And I remember there being
So he winds
slow-
up helping the guy because he has arthritis, right?
Eventually, but because
Eventually?
so it's so fucked up. But yeah, he falls into the basement. I almost said attic again. And there's like a bunch of scary animals and stuff like that. And the Indian walks down, Native American walks down, and he sees him, and he's holding a rabbit. And then he runs. Nicholas runs out, and he's talking to Lewis, and like, "What did you see?" Lewis is like, "What did you see? Did you see the big scary Indian guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, he was kind of big." And Lewis is just kind of like putting words into his mouth, essentially. And Nicholas isn't denying any of it. So he's like, "Did you see any animals? Were there animals in there?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, was he eating them or anything?" And he's like, I mean, he had a rabbit, and what was left of it was left of it, kind of a thing. And he just didn't stop Lewis from spreading this rumor, because that eventually went into school, and everyone started talking about how great Nicholas was and how scary this Indian guy is, and just the rumors spread. And everything.
And so the bullies were like, "We're going to go back and do it even harder
Right.
than Nicholas
Yeah.
did," and they
So-
actually do go in, trash the dude's
They
house.
trash it.
And this is only the first. How long are these? Like 30-minute episodes?
I would say 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is so like the lesson that he learns is like be good to people and like don't don't
Right.
peer
And like
pressure.
respecting your
So-
elders was a big thing too, and I think in that episode, because the guy was old.
Right.
I don't know if you'll be able to pinpoint this location or this moment in the episode, but there's this great moment where Nicholas feels bad for the rumors spreading in school, and he's like sad in his room, and his dad comes in, he's like, "What's up?" And he talks to him about like, like rumors spreading and stuff like that. And, and his dad was like, any type of like lies that you are saying not only hurts the person, but it also hurts Jesus. And like, so hurting someone else is essentially hurting Jesus. And so Nicholas is absolutely devastated by this. And he has night terrors, like dreams about the Native American guy. And that night he draws a picture of a very sad Jesus with the crown of thorns on it. And he's just looking down, crying. And that same image, so after the bullies trash his house, Nicholas comes running up, and they all scatter. And the Native American guy is on the front porch holding his bunny rabbits, and it's bleeding. And he turns around and looks up at Nicholas, and it's the exact same face as the sad Jesus was making in his sketch. And there's like a little like
overlay
flash
For
of
real.
it.
It's so okay, but that, and so like it's really dark. They deal with really dark things, but overall, the reason why I think the show is a Slytherin is because McGee is something that Nicholas is always at odds and doesn't feel completely comfortable about this creature, this McGee guy existing, and it feels to me like mental illness of some sort.
Is now tonally, just based on what you're describing, it almost feels like this is like, Are You Afraid of the Dark status as far as like.
No, it's more like I'm trying to think. It's more like a regular kids drama that has this weird
dark tinge around
what's it called? Like magic realism, or what is it called? Where like it's like pretty realistic, but then like something magical happens with it.
Yeah, magical realism.
Yeah. It's like that.
Gotcha.
Where like this is a normal universe, but then Nicholas has access to this magic creature, or this is a figment of his imagination.
He's
Can
insane.
anybody else see McGee?
No.
I don't think so.
No, it's just McGee. And like there is times where like Nicholas is like, "You're ruining my life by being here." And it's very much like a torturous thing sometimes.
I'm totally willing to just go the route of it's Slytherin. What are some of the other like conflicts or episodes that happen just out of
There's
curiosity?
one where Nicholas is on a game show.
Yeah, and it gets to him.
And he thinks he's hot shit because of it. And so he treats everyone like he's a big Hollywood actor. And all of his friends are just like fucking like scum beneath his shoes. And then like something happens on the show where he loses, and like he just like is like he learns about humility. it's always like a big overarching lesson.
Right. Yeah.
And it's almost always tied back to an animated segment where McGee goes, this is where this same thing happens to somebody in the Bible.
That's so weird that McGee is like, sometimes I work for you, sometimes I work against you, but then I'm the one who is bringing the larger lesson that Christ taught.
Yeah.
To you. That's so
it's
bizarre.
Like, it's very hard to pinpoint what McGee's purpose is supposed to serve, because sometimes Nicholas loves him, and like sometimes McGee enables bad behavior in Nicholas, and sometimes he's doing stuff that is affecting Nicholas's life negatively.
I agree with you that what you're describing to me is Slytherin, but I definitely feel like it's the intent of the show was to be a Gryffindor. I think
for sure.
I think they just misunderstood. I think they're just like fundamental problems with like the very core of the show that is going to drive you into like a very
like
odd territory.
I'll serve some tea on you right now. Like growing up with family members who had mental illness, I definitely was like, oh, they just have like McGee's or something in their life who are like telling them to do bad stuff.
Super weird.
Wow.
That was a death. I like, my mom was fucking crazy. Is crazy. And as a child, whenever she would do something fucked up, I'd be like, is that what she's going through right now? Does she have some sort of McGee on her shoulder telling her to do bad stuff? And so I always like, and that's probably, I might just have a personal bias. It's affecting like coloring. What do you think? Do you think it's a Slytherin or?
That sounds right. I mean, he gets Nicholas into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And then he tells him to like make up for what he did. Yeah.
Nicholas
just, like,
is always the one who has to eat shit whenever anything bad
Nicholas
happens.
took all the blame for the trashing of that, what is his name? Ravenhill's house. Like he was the only one cleaning up after the bullies.
There could be
Call the fucking cops on those kids, dude.
Yeah.
There could be an argument that it is a little Ravenclaw in the fact, like, we need to create conflict, like,
like story structure.
Yeah, like, it's very much like, we need to do this, but I suppose it's more, like, leaning more towards the cunningness.
It was like, it tried to be too funny also, to be, like, a straight-up Ravenclaw, because I think we're painting it more as, like, as a straight drama that it actually was, because a lot of the episodes like were trying to be funny and just were really cringy and not well written.
Yeah, and they had like cartoon segments going back to McGee's stuff. Like he would have like a little vignette that focuses on a major theme of each episode.
Yeah,
and like they would mainly rely on slapstick stuff. Like
McGee was like totally like Bugs Bunny level wackadoo.
Oh, that is really
but like the
weird.
story itself was like, oh, you sent a kid to jail because you didn't take you didn't take responsibility for your actions. So McGee's playing baseball, right? And he hits it.
I'm sorry. You actually can just leave it there and leave that to my imagination of He's playing baseball.
He single-handedly
and somehow a kid winds up
in prison.
This tiny innocent kid to jail.
Oh my god!
Yeah, for not taking responsibility for his actions.
Children's television is insane,
and that's the comedic relief segment of McGee in the middle of this episode.
Honestly, if anybody out there ever wants to teach like television writing and wants to do a segment on like what not to do and how to be the most confusing as possible and somehow still be moralistic and preaching in your stuff in a way that turns people off, use this sort of programming as the example, because none of it makes sense. I got like overarching like ideas of lessons, but it was always like, okay, I guess I won't break into a Native American's house and destroy his house.
Of all of these, coming in as an absolute outsider, the one that seems most straightforward and most appealing to me is Greatest Adventures Bible Stories.
Oh, for sure.
Just because it's giving you like...
It's like Wishbone from PBS.
Oh, yeah. Totally, yeah.
Oh, Wishbone was such a good show. What's the
story,
Wishbone? And with that, I would like to thank Matt Duran for coming on, being our guest. We can see more of you from Horse Store, correct?
Correct. Horse Store as in neigh, horse.
Right.
And a door that you open.
Also, you do perform with Instant Improv out in Orange County.
Yeah, Orange County base.
Are those monthly shows?
Monthly shows, yeah.
Is it like a specific time slot people could go check out?
Usually 9:30 on either Friday or Saturday, first Friday or Saturday of every month.
Yeah, if you're in the Orange County area, look them up on Facebook or other like social media and go see their shows. They're great.
Yeah. And you have a Twitter of sorts?
I do have a Twitter. I've never used it, but I am following Katie Reed.
Oh, okay.
So I guess go find me and then you'll find Matt.
Yeah, go find Katie Reed.
I think mine is that Matthew Duran.
Why?
Because I steal everything of you.
That's weird. I don't like that.
My email.
Don't tell them your email address. Why are you doing that?
You can follow me
security.
at Belated Media on Twitter, and you can follow Katie Reed at that Katie Reed.
Yeah. If you want it, or that Matthew Duran, I guess. Everyone get one like that. It doesn't matter. I don't need to have my own identity.
You can
Salty. Not like a fucking book.
Salty the songbook over here.
We appreciate you for listening. We would also love it if you would give us a review on iTunes or Google Play.
Or just tell us we're going to hell.
Yeah, you can do that too. We'll accept all of your damnation or suggestions and comments, which you can write to us at sortinghatpodcast@gmail.com.
All right, everyone. Godspeed.
Yep. Godspeed.